Peace, love, and blessings to you all. And welcome back to another episode of Redefining Authenticity, where we're teaching you how to recreate the life that's truly yours. I'm your co host, Sheronda L. Barksdale, the vision specialist and spiritual life empowerment coach of Authentic- Authentically Your Expressions LLC. Welcome back. I'm so happy to see y'all here. Please make sure you let me know you're here. Hey, Ingrid, please say hi when you enter the room. You know, your grandmother said it's rude to walk in and not speak. Make sure you say hi as you come into the room as you can. Let me type this in the comments for you. Because right now we're waiting on Carmen, Miss Carmen San Diego, aka Kim Martin. Authentically. I'm sharing with you all in the comments my website. Why? Because I've had people, because I asked a group of people, a lot of my former clients, people who attended my online school that's called SMILE, the Self Mastery Institute for Learning Empowerment, to send me some reviews of your experiences that you had with me. And they did. They showed up in droves. And I'm putting my website up here for you because go check it out. I want you to see it's right there on the homepage. When you scroll down, you get to see the reviews of my services as a life coach and just all the love. I'm just all giddy about it. I'm excited about it. But Kim should be here any minute now. She just flew into town. She's in heavy traffic and she'll get our slide going. But I also want to share with you guys, you or somebody you know who's in need of some empowerment. You know, we're going through some strange times these days. It's kind of crazy out here in these streets. And one of the things that I do is help people make it week to week. So on every Sunday, starting the first Sunday of February throughout the rest of the year, ongoing, we will be doing some empowerment sessions, hour and a half. So we're going to spend time collectively. Hey, Jasmine, collectively being able to just connect with other people who are going through things like us, people who could support us. Hearing stuff from people that sounds similar to yours, it's empowering. It makes you realize you're not alone. You're not alone. So soon on my website, www.authenticallyyourexpressions.com, there will be a link up. It's going to be $10 per session because we invest in ourselves. That's what we do. We exchange the energy, right? And so it's just $10 per session. It's going to be every Sunday from 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. where we'll join together. We'll have conversation and then we'll do some meditation. So that's the plan. So even if you feel like it's not for you, you know somebody who needs that type of support. We need that level of camaraderie. We need to come together as a spiritual community, those who believe what we believe. Calvin, that's you. Calvin on here. Hey, Calvin. So that's a good place. It's something that I did for a good year in 2020. It was easier to do during COVID. Why? Everybody was in the house. Everybody was on lockdown. So everybody showed up quickly. We did it and it was exciting. But as COVID kind of died off, and then my husband transitioned behind it, I let that Sunday group kind of die off too. Well, I've been had people on me. They've been on me. They've been like, when we gonna start that again? We're ready to get started again. So let's get started again. 1st February. So make sure you go to the website, check it out by the end of this night, possibly tomorrow, depending on how wild my children are acting at bedtime. That will be posted. I'll be sharing it on my pages. Make sure you're following my page on Facebook, Authentically Your Expressions. That's my page on Facebook. So yeah, anybody have any questions, any thoughts? Because I'm ready to get back into part 2. I would that's where we're having technical difficulties. Y'all know me, I'd run the whole show. I'd run the show. I keep it going. However, for some reason, the slides that we're using they didn't come over to my end. They're just showing up on Kim's end. And because she's not able to sit down at her laptop yet, we're waiting on the Honorable Miss Kim to log into her side. So Any thoughts, any questions? Some of y'all that are on here, I've worked with before. Any thoughts, any questions, any experiences y'all want to share? Light up the comment section because I'm here. What I do as a life coach, I must talk about that real quick, just in case people don't know what a life coach is. So, a life coach is someone who, because there's different types. You have financial life coaches, you have spiritual life coaches, you have nutritional life coaches, you have a myriad. My specific type of coaching is to help people use whatever your spiritual beliefs are to empower your own life. I don't give you spiritual beliefs to believe in. That's not my job. But what you believe in, how do you apply that? Because I believe that the source of who we all are is what carries us through. It's what makes us want to connect with life. When we feel like we have no direction, we have to go back to the source of who we are, who we believe created us, and use that information to make life make sense. So that's what I do as a spiritual life empowerment coach. And part of me being a vision specialist is helping you create the true vision for your life. What do I want my life to look like? Too many people are spending life living something somebody else told them to live, not living their authentic truth, trying to show up so that people will like them, trying to be palatable, trying to be kind, trying to be nice and frilly with it. And sometimes you have to rock the boat. I'm gonna rock the boat. That's just how I am. I'm a rock the boat type of gal. And if you ain't gonna like me, you ain't gonna like me. What's up, Nikki? I'm gonna rock the side of it. So we got to do those things that make sense to us. We got to do the things that we're passionate about. We got to live a truth. Are there responsibilities in life? Yeah. We don't just dip out on our responsibilities in order to live a life that feels good. I love you too. But excuse me, y'all. We don't skip out on our responsibilities, but our responsibilities have the ability to be in perfect alignment with the life that we desire. That's the beautiful part. Having children and having a relationship and having bills do not fall out of alignment with what you want for your life. If you were actually living and doing the things that make you happy, that make you feel true to who you are, to how you commit to yourself, how you want to show up in life, what makes you feel bold, what makes you feel like you, if you live that, everything else feels good. That marriage wouldn't feel so bitter and angry and frustrating because you're finding places that make you happy. You're finding situations that help you create something that makes you smile on a daily basis. So if I know, because being a life coach does it for me. Being a life coach, if I know I'm going to wake up tomorrow and have 2 coaching sessions, and I'm going to be able to watch people's lives transform. You think these kids going to get on my nerves that bad? No, not at all. They don't bother you that much when you're happy with what you're doing, when you're excited to show up with something, for something. And that's what you have to tap into. That's what I do as a life coach. I help you find that thing you can put your finger on. One of the biggest things I've learned from Ian Levanzant was call a thing a thing. Call a thing a thing. The reason you have to name feelings, emotions, thoughts, just to make life make sense is because if you can't call it something, it's nothing. If you don't have a word for it, if you don't have a term for it, you can't make it excellent. You can't make it grand. You can't live it out fully. If you're in an unhappy relationship, you're not going to be happy with many other parts. Your job might be cool, but you're going to be kind of unhappy. And so as a life coach, my job is to help you find, did you really want to get married? Let's be honest here. Did you really ever really want to be in a relationship? Because everybody don't have to. The hell? It's just not necessary. I don't think everybody has to. Did you really want to have kids? Look, you ain't giving no kids away. You're going to take care of these kids. But we're going to find ways to make you enjoy being able to incorporate them into what you love.
What is going on?
Ms. Kim Martin Raymond, are you in here, the room?
I am. I am here.
I heard her for a brief second.
My camera is not working at the moment. I am still working on it. Hey, everybody. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but we can go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for your patience. It's been a day.
Yeah, we were just in here talking about what it means to be authentic, what it means to live an authentic life. That's all. Having that good conversation. And I told him Carmen San Diego will find herself back to us real soon.
Yes. I'm glad to be here. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the with my camera, but we can definitely go ahead and get started. Good to see you all. Even though you can't see me, we're going to work it out while we're going. But if you want to go ahead and dive in, we can kick off where we started off, which was back here.
We were. I was just texting G, sorry, bring me some water. Anybody else had that problem? The older you getting, the more you're getting dry. my throat is dry all the time. I used to tell my mama that. There she go. She started coughing the older she got. I'm like, is that an old people thing? Y'all just get dusty. Good to see you, my baby.
Yes, good to see you all too. Happy Monday. Like I said, it's been crazy. I got stuck in crazy traffic. My flight was delayed, all that good stuff. But I'm here.
Whatever, Nikki. Whatever, Nikki. Someone no. Okay, Kim. So where were we? So we talked about the first three in this one?
Yes, we did. We did. So we were still talking about signs that your relationship is toxic.
Okay. So another sign that you know is a form of emotional, thank you, Jean, emotional manipulation is threats and coerciveness. When somebody trying to coerce you, it's a form of gaslighting too.
It is.
Trying to make you do something you don't want to do by using your emotional vulnerability. Please threaten me. You know what? I'm a little crazy. I'm a little nut. See, threaten me. I don't even like. I nut up on my kids if it even sounds a little bit like you talking crazy. You know, I like to show up in the world as a little bit nutty buddy because number one, you're not going to emotionally manipulate me. Let's start there.
Right.
You're not going to make me believe what I believe about me. And you're not going to make me do what I don't want to do. Here's the thing. Can we go all the way in, Kim? Let's go all the way in here.
Go on in.
People are so desperate for love and to be loved and to feel the emotion of love that we sometimes will surrender a good damn God-given sense in order to be with someone, and we end up being emotionally manipulated even by somebody just threatening you. You better not talk to that person no more.
Right.
You need to leave that job. The people at that job getting in your head. You need to do this. You need to do that. All for the sake of love.
Right.
Fuck love. I mean, no, don't do that. It's not that serious.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. But it should never be like you said, when you're talking about threatening someone and you're talking about, well, if you don't do this or if you don't do that, then, you know, that if-then situation. Where if you don't do what I say, then this is going to happen. And then, you know, especially if they actually make good on the threat that they're making. Now, it's different when somebody is saying something and they're, you know, they're all talk and there's no action. But you know there's some toxicity when they say, if you do that, I'm going to put my hands on you. And then next thing you know, they put their hands on you. They're making good on what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to know that something is awry. That's when you're going to know that now you're in a situation, because now we're talking about not just verbal abuse. Yes. We're talking about physical
Physical
abuse.
abuse.
So
Yes.
when people are making good on those threats, if you do this, I'm going to leave. Or if you do this, I'm going to do it. And then they do it. That right there is a red flag. And then if they're going to come back and start apologizing and no, I didn't mean that. I didn't. I'm sorry. I really wasn't going to do it. And then that's not what happened. No, I didn't do what you said I did. Then that's when the gaslighting starts
Yeah,
again.
that's
So you
when I
see,
guess.
they begin to overlap.
Yes.
And so, if they're making good on those threats and they're saying things and you're seeing those things come to fruition, that is a big red flag that you're in a toxic relationship because it's only
Yes.
going to escalate. Because once they see that they can get away with doing one thing,
Yes.
they're
Yes.
going
Yes.
to continue to do it more and more. And
Yep.
so, you really want to definitely be cautious of those red flags. When red flags are flying like that, believe it. When people
Believe
say
it.
they're going to do something and they do it, believe it.
Yep.
Just like you said, Nikki, yep, they'll do it again.
Yep.
They'll do it again. So you
And
definitely
here's
want
the
to make
thing.
sure.
That's why I like teaching abuse from all these angles, because people tend to think only the physical abuse is a form of abuse. But passive aggressive behavior, gaslighting, lying and blaming, all of that is a form of emotional manipulation.
That's
You
right.
don't get to do it and then try to say, but that's not as bad as this other thing.
Right. Right.
You don't get to hurt people and make them feel like, oh, let me go rescue them again. Because
True.
but you just beat me up with your words, or you beat me up with no words. We're gonna
Right.
get to that soon. Go ahead with
Yes.
the next one, now, Kim.
Yes. When we talk about withdrawal and withholding, okay, that's huge. Okay, when you talk about withdrawal, especially if you know, I think about that one from the person that is being gaslighted or the person that's being lied to. They begin to withdraw. I think about a dear friend of mine, and she was experiencing a toxic relationship, and she was very outgoing and very, always,
Mm.
hey, and always giggling
Yeah,
and laughing and smiling and everything. And then all of a sudden, she was very withdrawn.
yeah,
She wasn't herself. And
yeah.
because I've known her for years and years, I was like, something is not right.
Hmm.
If all of a sudden you find yourself withdrawing from people because of the things that are happening around you,
Happening.
that's
Yes,
a sign that there's some toxicity going on.
yes,
When
yes.
when you're out of character,
Yep.
when you're doing things, normally you're a person who's very, who's an extrovert, you're out there, then all of a sudden you find yourself not wanting to be around your friends, not wanting to be around your family, because you almost feel like you have to answer to them because you know that you're out of sorts.
Something's wrong.
Something is wrong if
Something's
you're
wrong.
withdrawing. Something is wrong if you're not, if you're acting out of character and you're afraid that other people are going to notice it. That's a
Yes,
huge red flag again. That something is
yes.
going on. Expand on that.
Well, I think you did such a great job, especially with the example of your friend. No, for real. It's
Yeah.
just that you see the behavior shift.
Yes.
You could tell something's got to be wrong because now this person is pulling back. And you have to be mindful. Don't assign a thing if you don't fully know. Sometimes people are withdrawing because they're going through some kind of medical crisis. Sometimes people are withdrawing because of grief. Sometimes people are withdrawing for many things. And that's part of being aware of a person, giving people their space, tapping in, give them their space, tapping back in, trying to make
Right.
sure they are okay.
Right.
So some of this stuff you have to be very mindful of assigning it directly to a toxic relationship. But for the most part, you can identify it because these things don't usually stand alone.
Right.
You don't have
Right.
just a gaslighter. It's
No.
usually not
No.
just a gas. You'll see have a gaslighter who is lying and blaming. They got passive aggressive. They kind of stack up. They may not be all six, but people who are toxic, they have a way of using their bag of tricks in order to make you feel like your feelings aren't valid. That's the bottom line.
Right. Right.
Now your feelings aren't valid.
Right.
So I'm gonna withdraw
That's it.
because who's gonna believe me?
Right.
Or maybe I have that physical sign of the black eye. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want people to see it. And I have
Right.
scars. Whatever's going on, you got to send that cry out for help.
That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
It's like you
Yeah.
said, you tend to withhold that information. Like you said, you're not saying that everybody saying, "Hey, how are you? Are you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine." Oh, well, what happened? Oh, we hear about this sometimes in physical situations where people are just like, "Oh, where'd you get that bump or where'd you get that bruise? Oh,
Yes.
I fell, I slipped." You're withholding information because you're trying to protect that person.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and it should never be that love hurts.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know.
So I'm gonna go to the final one. Isolation. Man.
Mm. I'm looking at what Nikki is writing.
Oh yeah.
No,
Well,
it's okay.
I'm one withdrawn. Exceeds my
Okay.
50 letters. I
That's
mean, because there
okay.
are people who just withdraw. There are people who just you don't want to engage. When you're an empath, you definitely don't feel like being in big crowds or being around crowds for a long period of time
Right.
because of all the energy you pick up, especially when you haven't quite learned how to turn that on and off just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be somebody. So you have to be mindful that it's not just that. Look, just because they withdrawn don't mean they're getting beat down in the house now.
Right. Right. Right.
Which is
Dig a
that
little deeper, do a
isolation.
little investigation. Right.
Yes, that isolation is a big one because people will isolate when they're the toxic person, the emotional manipulator. They'll intentionally isolate themselves so you can keep asking them, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Are you okay? What's wrong?" And so you try to tiptoe around them so that they won't feel bad. Or they won't, so that you don't feel like you're doing something to them. I just need to be by myself. And again, I'll go back to there are some people who just need to isolate at times. But there are people who know that if I shut down, people are going to ask me what's wrong. And they wait good until they're in a room full of people, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just I'm at home and I'm in my bed and I don't really feel like answering my phone right now.
Right.
People who do it to manipulate will be in a room full of people and will find a corner to go pout in. So now everybody in this room is now giving them attention to figure out what's going. Now they have shifted the complete energy in that space
Right.
and still made it about them. Gaslighting, passive aggressiveness. Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you have the other opposite, that isolation where they're isolating you from your people.
from your people.
That's a huge one.
Hmm.
That's a huge red flag. All of a sudden, they're causing you to be alienated from your family and from your friends because they know good and doggone well that your friends will be like, "Oh, why are you letting this person do
Yes,
that to you? And why are you letting that person do that?" So they're going to try to keep you away from people that are going to be the voice of reason, because that's
absolutely.
going to help them in their ability to gaslight and to lie and to manipulate,
Yeah,
because now you're not going to be around people to bounce those things off of. It's for somebody to be like, no, no, girl, that's not right.
right.
No, my dude, that's not right. So they're going to make sure that you're isolated from people who are going to be that voice of reason, who can be like, no, you need to get away from that person. So they're going to try to pull you away from anybody who's going to pull you away from them.
Yeah.
They can't do their work because they're not going to work on everybody. They may have you fooled, but they don't have everybody fooled. And so they will make sure that they pull you out of that, out of anybody who's going
Out
to
of
be that
sight.
voice of reason. Have you be by yourself, alienate you from your family, cause a rift. And I'm sorry, just one little quick personal thing. I remember many, many moons ago. Hey, Leah. How you
Hey,
doing, love?
Leah.
I remember many moons ago, one of my husbands, one of my exes, master of isolation. And I remember he, said that he said something to me about my mother-in-law, and said something to her that I didn't like her, and he said that she didn't like me, and it wound up going back and forth, and she and I never connected because he had us convinced that we didn't like each
Intentionally.
other.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't come to our wedding, everything. And then all of a sudden, when things started to break down and we were going through a divorce and she and I got to talk, she was like, well, he told me you said this and I told you. And I was like, what? We never even knew.
Yeah.
We never knew. And he was manipulating both of us
Yep.
into believing that something was wrong. And it caused the rift that didn't even need to be there.
Didn't even have to exist.
Didn't even have to be there. So we
Kim, all I'm hearing is narcissist.
Oh, yes.
Narcissist. Ingrid, I was about to say, Ingrid, are you still on here? Because she said some of the self-isolation is rooted
And
in
embarrassed.
embarrassment. Exactly.
Absolutely.
I look like a fool. I can't believe I got myself in this mess.
Right.
I can't believe I'm letting this person treat me this way. So we'll isolate ourselves
That's right.
sometimes, absolutely, because we feel dumb. And you're not.
No.
And you're not.
We all make
We
mistakes.
all make mistakes.
You
We
know.
all
And I
get
think
ourselves
that's
in
it. It's
situations
the
we gotta
judgment.
fight out of. But
Right.
fight.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Like you said, I think it's the judgment. You know, we don't know. Nobody wants to feel judged. We all feel like, people tend to be the judge and jury of our lives
Mhm.
because we tell people things. And then when we make those missteps, then it's like, oh my gosh, I can't let anybody think that I could possibly be so foolish. But you don't want to stay in that just
Yes.
for the sake of saving face.
Thank you.
You definitely don't want to do that. Don't stay in it just for the sake of appeasing others.
Mhm.
And it's going to be at your own expense.
And those of y'all who are on here before Kim was able to jump on, do you remember we were having this conversation about authenticity? Because who cares what these folks think about you when it's time to save yourself? Who cares? You can't care when it's time to start swimming, when it's time to, if you can't swim, dog paddling, any of that. When it's time to be able to keep your nose above water, those who care going to help you not drown. That's what matters. It's the people who care you don't have to do a whole lot with.
Right.
You get to be yourself. They'll see you splashing and will come and send for help you do something.
That's
But to
it.
care what people, especially like social media and things like that, there's nothing wrong with sharing your life. I hate when people go the opposite direction. You can't share nothing. Why y'all always sharing stuff? Mind your business. You share it for the purpose of what you want to share it for. That doesn't have to do with anybody's approval of who you are.
Right.
The moment, let me tell you, the way you get into an emotionally manipulative relationship was that moment that you allowed yourself to stop caring about yourself. It was that moment. It's that quick moment that love or something else took over and said, "This is greater than how I feel about how I truly show up." So he likes my hair to be up. Remember the 90s used to have movies like that all the time? And Tyler Perry
Mm-hmm.
did a few of them. He likes for me to wear my hair this way. She likes for me to smell this way. So we start giving over to little, what seems like little small things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into this. And it turns into this.
Yes.
So freeing yourself from toxic relationships, that's part of redefining your truth. That's
Absolutely.
redefining who you are. And it's okay. Some days you can put just one little finger on it, and some days you can grab it by its throat and throw it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But always be in touch with your truth. Don't lose that part. Don't lose that part at least.
That's it. That's
We got
it.
more slides, Kim?
Yes, we do. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. This one, signs that you are that you may be in a toxic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
This is a heavy one. Physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is putting their hands
Hands
on
on
you. Okay. We already talked a little bit about, with the gaslighting thing. We talk about the verbal abuse and things of that nature, but the physical abuse where they are putting their hands on you,
never okay.
it's never okay.
Never.
Just like that slide, like the slide says, love shouldn't hurt. It should never be that someone tells you that, oh, I'm putting my hands on you because I love you,
Mm-hmm.
as a means of correction, as a means of breaking you down. It's never a situation where it is okay for someone to put their
Their
hands
hands
on
on
you,
you.
unless it is to embrace you.
Kim, I was about 16, 17 years old, and I broke up with my boyfriend because he stepped on my foot by mistake.
Mm. Not the foot, not the stepping on the foot.
But he was angry,
Yeah.
But when he was walking away, I was kind of in the way, and he stepped on my foot. That was the end of it. I was done. Okay. Because it felt aggressive to me. I'd never even seen anyone get hit. I've never been in a household where people were putting their hands on. Was there abuse in my household? Absolutely. Was it physical? No. So for me, at least that particular type of abuse was unacceptable.
You said it's a heavy
I
subject.
did. I'm telling you, I did. I was done.
Not stepping on you. All right.
You stepped on my foot.
I'm from New York. And you step on my white sneakers? What? Anyway. No, we're not making light of it because
no,
we
I'm not
understand.
making light of it, but that's how serious.
But yes.
Well, that's legit how serious. Because in my mind, love shouldn't hurt. There's no reason you should be walking towards me in my area, my whole vicinity, in an aggressive manner.
That's right.
I don't think anyone should tolerate it.
That's it. And just like Nikki was saying earlier, once it happens once, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. Because, and it's all in how you react to it.
Absolutely.
If they see that it has caused you to be broken, if they see that it has caused you to have any type of fear and that you're going to bend to whatever it is that they say moving forward, they're going to see that, okay, I got you. I have you now. And it's a way of breaking you down. It's a way of causing you to have fear.
Yes.
And I think about it because, and it's difficult because some people will say, oh, well, why didn't you leave? Or why didn't you leave? Think about animals and things like that, where we have that elephant who is tied to that little stake. And all he has to do is take a step and move away. But because he has been so mentally broken or physically broken that now he doesn't feel like he can move, he or she can move. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's what physical abuse can do.
Yep.
It can paralyze the person to where even though the door is right there and all they have to do is turn that knob and go out that door, it's not as easy as it seems. And so we definitely understand, like I said, this is why it's a delicate subject to talk about, because physical abuse is something you just can't tell somebody, well, just get out of there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is not that easy because the mental portion has already taken over. That's what they tend to do, the gaslighting. They start to do all of that in preparation for the physical abuse. It's an escalation. And it's going to lead to that. That's another reason why when you start seeing those things happening, that's when it's time to start stepping out before it gets here.
Yes.
Because sometimes the writing is on the wall. Okay. So, it's a matter of following those signs and following your intuition.
Yes. All right. I wish they would teach this early on. Like, taught it to us, like when they did sex ed. I think I took sex ed in like 9th grade or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just about relationships and identifying red flags and things like that, because it might minimize some of it. I'm not saying it's going to stop altogether, but at least have an awareness of the importance of keeping your hands to your damn selves. People's personal property is their personal property and things like that. Kids do the whole hitting thing or whatever, but I'm quick to teach my kids, you don't put your hands on nobody. You stay out of people's space.
That's it.
You don't get in people's personal space. Get out my bubble. I don't even like you staying close to me in the grocery store. Why do I feel your breath?
6 feet. 6 feet.
Give me my space.
I can
do it at 3. I'm okay with 3 feet, but good Lord, don't get in someone's space.
That's it.
Don't put your hands on them.
That's it.
Leave them alone.
Right. But just like you said, this is a whole show in and of itself. And like I said, we definitely don't want to belittle this time, but physical abuse is something serious.
I'm trying to hype it up. Listen.
Time and time again, love shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't hurt on it. No pushing, no tussling. And that's another thing. Even when you in play, don't even play with me like that. Don't even play with me like that. We're grown. We're not little kids. It's not a playground unless we got on gloves and I'm being taught to box. There's no reason for you to put your hands on me or do anything in that way. And
I like a little aggression when I'm wrestling around.
Some people like that little rough housing and things like that. I like what you said. Let me see what Nikki says. She says, I think it's a test too. People do what they feel they can. They learn your patterns and the way you react. Even the people you have in your corner, they use that too. Not always, but in my situation,
Absolutely.
definitely, definitely, it's a
Yeah,
test. People are
that's
going to test
people
the
in
boundaries.
general. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was the B word.
Boundaries. They're going to test your boundaries.
That's what it is. People do that in general.
That's right. And people are going to treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you keep saying yes all the time and doing things all the time, they're going to assume that that's okay.
It's okay.
That it's okay for us
Hmm.
to do that. And you're giving them permission. You're agreeing to that, and that's not necessarily so.
Yep.
I'm never going to say that somebody is agreeing to be physically abused.
Right.
Never. But yes, do I believe that they were gaslighted? Yes. Do I believe that there were things that were being set in motion to get them to that place?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we don't always see it because sometimes the love is so overwhelming that we don't see it.
Yeah.
And we excuse it and we say it's okay. And even though we're like, it's okay, but it's not okay. But I love this person, and just like the young lady who spoke last week, who was talking about, oh, when it's good, and when it's not, it's not. Okay, so the
Yeah.
scales of what are we doing? We're just saying it's okay, you know. And if she's saying when it's good, it's good, so I'm willing to stay. You're making a choice to do that, but is that going to be in your best interest long term? So
Yeah.
this is a tough one.
It
Physical
is.
abuse is no joke. It is no joke. And so we have to, make sure that we're looking for those signs that lead up to that. And once we get to that place, that we're asking for help. And I think that's where we're turning to on these next couple of slides. We're going to be talking about, things that you can do to free yourself
Yes. Yes. Yes.
from
Yes.
toxic relationships. We just talked about
Yes.
this one. Hit it.
So yes, freeing yourself from toxic relationships, setting boundaries. Oh, child. I'm trying to debate how I want to even go about explaining that. But anyway, it says boundaries. I allow myself to set healthy boundaries, to say no to what does not align with my values, to say yes to what does. Boundaries assist me to remain healthy, honest, and living a life that is true to me. Here's my thing with boundaries. I don't meet that many people who know how to communicate well enough to even know what it means to set boundaries. I don't. 80% of the adults, and I've been life coaching at least a couple of hundred people, at least a couple of hundred at this point. 80% of them don't even know how to verbally say what they need
Mm,
and what does not feel good to them. And what does feel good to them, people don't know how to just say, what makes me happy is. Duh. So
mm,
it's so difficult to get people to understand boundaries because you have to know what you do and don't like
right,
in order to set it in the first place. You can't
right,
just pick up a fence, put it in the middle of the street, and say that's my space.
right,
The city come to get you, you know. But you have to know you so well, and that's another thing I wish they taught in high school,
know
very very
thyself.
young, is
Mhm.
knowing yourself. Knowing this person first. There's no reason to jump into relationships with people without knowing yourself. And part of knowing yourself is being able to say, I like when I get touched this way. I like when
Right,
I have these type of experiences. I don't like that type of touch. I don't like that because now I can be drawn to the people who like the things that I like.
right,
And I can still set the boundaries with them, but they're less likely to do the things that we were talking about, the toxic relationships, because I've now gotten on the same frequency with somebody who likes what I like. But
right,
do you know what you like?
right. Anyway, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. You have to start thinking, sometimes it's just a matter of sitting down with a journal. Sit
Mm-hmm,
down and write down what are things that are deal breakers for you,
mm-hmm.
you know, and start out with the simple things. You know, I'm not a person who likes somebody who smokes.
Yes,
That's a deal breaker for me.
yes, yes.
Okay, I don't like the smell. I don't want it in my clothes. I don't want it in my mouth. I don't want it. I don't want it. That's just not that's a deal breaker for me. But what
Mhm.
are some of the things that are deal breakers, and are we willing to stand by? Are they things that we're hard and fast about?
Yeah,
There are things that we can be flexible about, but
Yeah,
setting boundaries starts with those things that we absolutely are saying. My yeses are my yeses and my no's are my no's when it comes to this. It's not up for discussion.
period.
And we have to be able to stand, 10 toes down on it.
Yeah.
This is that's not something I'm going to do. I don't care how fine you are. I don't care how it makes you feel. I don't want the smoke in my house. I'm not
Mhm.
willing to make the changes. Some people say, well, you can go outside, or they can.
Mhm.
But for me, it's the deal breaker. What
Yes.
is something that you are definitely going to stand 10 toes down on no matter what? That is something that is a boundary that you set.
Yeah.
And you have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we're firm on things that we believe. We're firm on things that we can articulate. Just like
Yes.
Sheronda said, you have to be able to articulate. Why do you believe the things that you believe? Can you articulate it to somebody? Well, I just feel like that because
Just because.
it's not an answer. It's not an answer. Have you done the research? Is it just something that you firmly believe that you stand on? Because those are the things that we can set boundaries on, things that we can articulate.
Mhm.
So know why it is that you feel certain ways about certain things.
Yeah.
I'm always going to ask. We always talk about, oh yeah, what's your why, and why are you doing this, and why you do it? What is your why? That's important. But why do you believe the things that you believe? That's going to help you to set boundaries.
Yeah. Nikki said, how do you handle people trying to make you feel bad for setting boundaries? It just depends on the person. It depends on how important this person is in my life. If it's a husband or somebody that I'm looking at a serious relationship with, we're going to find some therapy so we can talk about this.
Right.
So we can have a third party that can help us see it both from each other's perspectives and see if we can make any moves in that space.
Right.
If not, then we can't, and there's nothing else to talk about. We just can't deal with each other, and that's just what it is. If it's a friend or just an acquaintance or something, I shut them down. I mean, I don't have nothing there's nothing for me to do with you if you can't be respectful. It's just a respect thing. It's just a respect thing. If you can't respect, I don't like this, I don't like it when you do this, because sometimes you have to say it. No, people don't care. They don't.
I was just getting ready to say that therein lies the toxicity right there. If somebody, if you're articulating and they don't care, then that means that there's some toxicity right there.
There's some toxicity.
Okay, because
we're not going to say they're the worst person in the world, but
people are going to respect your boundaries if they love you and they care about you. They, just like Sheronda said, they're going to respect your boundaries. They're not going to see it, or they're not going to be defensive about it, or they're not going to feel personally attacked by your boundaries.
Yeah.
They're going to see that that's what's going to help to keep you healthy. That's going to be what's going to help to keep you well.
Yeah.
And so they shouldn't have an issue with it.
How many red flags can you take? That looks different for everybody. I can't say come up with a list of. I can say come up with a list of 10 red flags. How many of them are you willing to bend? For some, it might be 5. For some, it might be 2. For some, it might be none.
Right.
Sometimes people give people red flags where there really isn't none.
Right.
Because just because they won't behave, sometimes people won't do what you want them to do, and then they start red flagging it. And people don't have to do what you want them to do. They get to be them just as much as you get to be you. Right. However, how much can you tolerate? You have to know your tolerance level in that space and know what is good, what feels good, and what does not feel good to me. That don't feel good.
Right. I love what Leah said. She said it's difficult, but a much needed conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's about communication. If I can't communicate to you the things that are bothering me, or the things that are deal breakers for me, or anything like that, if I can't articulate that, then there's going to be a breakdown in communication. There's going to be some resentment that I'm going to have because I'm going to feel disrespected because I have feelings that are being disregarded. And then the whole cycle begins from there.
Yeah.
Then the toxicity just continues to grow from there. Okay, because yes, it's a difficult conversation, but like she said, it's a much needed conversation because I need to tell you how I feel about things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's going to be resentment. Every time it comes up, I'm going to feel like, okay, well, I can't discuss this because that person has a problem with that. So I'm just never supposed to talk about it. So it's just supposed to eat away at me. Mm-hmm. How is that helping me to grow? How is that helping me to not be stressed?
Yeah.
It's not. It's not.
Nikki, is faking it to make it making it?
I'm faking it to make it.
I'm asking, is faking it to make it? Are you actually making it? I'm curious. Mm-hmm. Because I've never known. I don't know anything that people could do that they could fake it and they really get where they want to be. Mm-hmm. Not for real. Maybe some semblance of it. I don't know. And I could go real. Look, that sentence on "I'm a red flag magnet." I'd rather have a whole coaching session with you on that one before I even touch that.
Yes. Yes, I was going to say, we're not even going to put that in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Remember, that comes back to agreeing. Are you agreeing?
Don't be in agreement with that girl.
I'm not in an agreement that you're a red flag magnet.
That's why I thought your answer was going to be Nikki. Okay.
That's it. No, we're not accepting that. Don't put that in the atmosphere, okay? Because once you put that, are you looking for somebody to agree with you and say, yeah, you are? No, you're not.
Mm-mm.
No, you're not.
We ain't doing it.
No, ma'am, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Mm-mm. Okay.
Ingrid said the best I could do is explain the why to the boundary, and then if there's pushback, then they're told that's just what it is. Yeah. So, and I love that, Ingrid, because sometimes you do have to tell people why that boundary does exist.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's why I said it's such a, Kim, it's such a delicate balance between having a boundary because something really does bother you versus having a boundary just because you're a jerk.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean about the whole communication thing. Sometimes people are struggling in relationships. It's not because people are so wrong to you. Sometimes you haven't placed what you needed in front of you first for you to be the first partaker of the fruit. Right. You have to, what you want other people to do to you, you have to partake first. That's how you get people to fall in alignment with you because you're the first partaker of the fruit. When you do, that's called tithing to yourself in the spiritual world. You eat it first. So I like flowers. I like flowers every Friday. I'm in a relationship. They don't want to buy me flowers. I'm buying my dang on flowers every Friday. And guess what? Over time, that person's going to be like, she is so serious about these flowers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's just a blanket explanation. Right. But you have to be the first partaker in the very thing you want from somebody else. You want respect yourself first. You want love yourself first. If you want dates, date yourself first. Do it to yourself.
Right. I like what Ingrid said. She said, you can fake yourself into complacency. You're right. Because you keep putting things out there like that, you're going to begin to believe what it is that you put out there.
Then you're going to stay right there faking.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. I absolutely love that. And I'm glad you said that, Nikki. Don't know it's past tense. I'm looking at the present and the future.
Very
all right.
Good. Very good.
All right.
Very
all
good.
Right. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that. All right. Let's move on because we can stay on boundaries forever.
Whew.
Okay. Another thing for freeing yourself from a toxic relationship is seek support. Mm-hmm. Okay. We can't do everything in and of ourselves. We all got a toolbox. That doesn't mean that we know how to use all the tools in it. Sometimes we got to call in a professional. Sometimes we got to call in somebody who can help us and even if they show us how to use that tool so we know how to use it the next time, sometimes we have to call in people for that support that we need.
Absolutely.
Yes, all the tools that we need are inside of us. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that we always know how to execute them. We don't always know how to process them. That's where it's important for us to ask for help. And sometimes in our society, we just feel like we can't ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of weakness instead of a sign of strength. Mm-hmm. or being able to acknowledge and say, okay, I see what the problem is, and I just don't know where to go from here.
Yeah.
We have to be able to reach out, whether it be coach, whether it be a close friend in your circle, but you just want to make sure that information is coming from a reliable
A
source.
reliable source.
Okay, that's key. All right, not like Wikipedia and like that, where they can change when the wind blows. It's got to be something that is rooted in truth. You're not gonna ask Uncle Bob about your financial situation if Uncle Bob don't know nothing about it. He don't own a bank. He's not a financier. He doesn't have a degree in that. But you're just gonna ask him because he do all right with the money sometimes. Is that your reliable source? Mm-hmm. You have to think about where that support is coming from and making sure that person is not, is a help and not a hindrance.
Yes.
Okay, mm-hmm. Expand on that.
Sure. Oh, well, yeah, I agree totally with Kim said. She knows I'm all for the support. Seeking support is key because nobody sees themselves completely. Nobody. There's no possible way for any of us humans, anyway, to be able to fully see ourselves and how we process things and why we see things the way we do and things like that help contribute to our lives. And it's not about guilt. It's about revelation. The more that you seek help, you seek that guidance, you seek the support from a therapist, from a grandparent, from a real close friend, from somebody with wisdom, the more you can have that and the more you can keep your mind open, the more you can see how you can free yourself from toxic spaces. Because sometimes that toxic relationship is your darn job. And just seeking help, somebody might be able to help you get a new one. Right. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't always have to be just with an intimate relationship with someone, but we have to not forget to tap into our resources that are around us. We are not headlocked into any situation. We're just not. So the more you get to know yourself, the more you get to love on yourself, the more you own your truth. If I know that I'm a procrastinator, and I am, I call myself as such, and then I call myself greater by telling that procrastinator in me what we're about to do to fix this problem. That's all seeking support is calling a thing. This is my truth. I know that I attract red flags. Okay, what should I do so I can free myself from that space? Right. And it's not about feeling guilty or dumb. It's just acknowledgement.
Yeah. Yes. But just like you said, it's about when you know better, you do better. If somebody is giving you guidance and support, make sure that you're using that information that they're giving you. And if you feel that it's harming you in any way, then that's where you can seek a second opinion. That's where you can seek multiple channels of support. Yeah. Okay. The support doesn't have to just come from one specific place. It can come from a myriad of places to touch on different things.
Yeah. But my favorite clients are the ones who come to coaching and have a therapist at the same time. Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Because sometimes we need more than that. Sometimes we need more than one tool to fix a problem, right? So we need to make sure that we're reaching out to those things and that we're tapping into those and know that you have the right. We did a show about you having the right. You have the right to change your mind. You have the right to find people who are going to assist you in the issues that you have. And if they don't, you have the right to say, okay, well, let me step back and reevaluate this. I may need a second opinion on this and go from there.
And go from there.
Okay. But the thing is to always ask for help. Mm-hmm. You've acknowledged, especially when you've acknowledged the issue, you've acknowledged it. Now seek the help that you need to move forward. Don't sit on it, because you're not helping yourself. I like that English says, seek support and finding an accountability partner has helped me. Accountability is huge. Someone who's going to hold your hand to the fire and say, okay, you said you were going to do this. Let's go. And do it in a loving manner. Not in the way, well, you said, okay, there's a totally, it could be said both ways.
Right.
You said you were going to do this and I'm here to support you. And not that, girl, you said you were going to do this and you ain't do it. So now what? That's not helping. That's not helping. That's harming. So it's knowing what that support looks like And it should always be helping to encourage and support you, not to drag you down. All right. Let's see where we're at, Sheronda. If we're going to have to go round two. No, I think we have one more slide.
Yeah.
All right, it's on you. Did you freeze?
I thought you did.
Rosie, now like it's on you. She's like, no, it's on you.
It's on me. I couldn't remember who was next. But I was waiting. I thought you were checking to see if there's a slide after this. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, we just talked about it. So this is a beautiful way to end this particular series. But consider therapy. Therapy means it's therapeutic. It's healing. There are ways to receive. There are many ways, and I love living at this time in history because there's so many different types of therapists. They're not all shrinks and just sitting in the office and laying in a chair. There's so many naturalists that do so many homeopathic things that will help you according to what you need and what vibes with you. So take the time. Right. Take the time. Don't be afraid of. Let me see if I'm gonna get got about this. But don't be afraid of medications. If you're having anxiety issues, if you're having serious depressive issues, don't be afraid of being prescribed medication. You do not have to be afraid of those things. While you're on it, you can start learning some herbalistic things that help support your anxiety and depression. And once you start feeling a little bit more balanced, your doctor can start weaning you off of some of those medications. But don't run. Don't hide. You're you. Take up space. Be bold. Put both feet in this world. Plant yourself on solid ground. Say, I am that I am, and live freely, authentically.
I love it. I love it. But like you said, seeking therapy, it's necessary for us to advocate for ourselves. That's part of advocating for yourself. When you're going to a doctor and when you're going to anybody who can prescribe things for you, it also becomes a thing of what works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, advocate for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's always good to go in and at least ask the questions, at least do a little digging and seeing if that's something that's going to work for you. And if it is, go for it. If you're taking something that they've given you and it's not making you feel anything, advocate for yourself. That is the biggest thing. It all goes back to us, performing self-love. Yes. It all goes back to us being in a love affair with ourselves, knowing thyself. Always going to say that. Know yourself enough to know what's harming you, what's affecting you in a certain way, and addressing it, facing it head on, looking in the mirror and saying that this is something that's happening to me. I don't understand it. I'm either going to ask for help. I'm going to consider therapy. I'm going to do what's going to be necessary to free myself from the situation that I'm in. We're trying to experience a sense of wellness on all levels, physical, mental, and spiritual. So in order for us to do that, we have to know ourselves. We have to know what feels good, what feels uncomfortable, what hurts, and to be able to know the difference. So that way we can free ourselves from toxicity. I know our time is coming to a close. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share, Sheronda?
I don't. I ran my mouth enough.
All right. Like I said, this was a great series. Like I said, talking about, toxic relationships and being able to get to the best versions of ourselves by continuing the love affair with ourselves. It's so important that we do that. We tap in and be all that we can be. So absolutely. That will wrap it up for tonight. I thank you guys for allowing me to slide in at the last minute. I'm glad I made it. And, make sure that you like, follow, share, and subscribe. Our YouTube channels are going across the bottom of the screen, and there'll be a QR code at the end of the show. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Let us know some of the things that you want us to talk about in an effort to redefine authenticity and be our authentic selves. So until we see you guys the next time, peace out. See you soon. Be well.